So, thank you for giving me your time.
Hmm.
We are in St. Mary's shelter, and my guest has been here for a few months and will share his story with us. So, you may give your name or not; it's entirely up to you. But why don't we start with your journey to this space?
Well, my journey started at the beginning of 2020, specifically in January. I was living in Brooklyn in a shared apartment. I had a job off the books, but during the beginning of COVID, before I came to the US, when the China travel ban happened, I was working in a sushi restaurant. Most of the customers were Chinese and Japanese. And when the travel ban happened, the business almost went under basically, and the manager had to cut costs. I was the easiest to fire, so I had to be let go. Since I don't have work authorization, it was really hard to find another job, so I didn't manage to find another job before my savings ran out. I couldn't pay rent anymore, so I had to basically come to the shelter.
So, how did you find St. Mary's?
I quit Google search actually. Yeah.
Okay.
First place that popped up.
Is that right? And you called, and
Yes.
were you interviewed, or what's the process of getting
Uh,
into the shelter?
After I found the website, I checked the contact list. I found the email of the director. I emailed him. He gave me the email of the intake person. I emailed her. She got back to me in less than 24 hours. She basically put me on a wait list. Luckily, I had still some time left before I got kicked out of my apartment, so I managed a place freed up over here before I got kicked out. So I lucked out basically.
Yes, you certainly did.
Yeah.
So you came here sight unseen. You had not actually seen the shelter before you came.
No,
Okay,
I didn't have the luxury of that.
I'm sure. And so when you arrived, that was less than a year ago, or
Yes, around 11 months ago,
11 months ago,
10 and a
pre-COVID.
half, something like that.
Pre-COVID.
Yes.
So during the period of time that you've been here, how has the pandemic affected you?
Well, it was already hard to find a job. The pandemic basically made it impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's really not affected me much. I'm not really the type of person that likes going out, hanging out in bars, restaurants, that sort of stuff. I'm not really that type of person. So it really has not affected me at all, other than the fact that I can't find a job.
Yes. And so in your immigration process, have you gotten the documents thus far that you would need? Do you have a work authorization?
I do not. Unfortunately, well, technically, if we were using the old rules, I would be getting work authorization. I would be eligible to get work authorization at the end of the next month. But unfortunately, there was a rule change that made it so you can only get work authorization 1 year after filing instead of 6 months.
And when did you file?
At the end of August.
Okay.
So yeah, I would be eligible on the old rule. I would be eligible for it at the end of February. Unfortunately, now I have to wait until the end of August.
Okay. And so will you be able, as far as you know, to remain in the shelters until then?
As far as I know, probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are really nice. Like, they help you a lot if you're in dire straits. But there's a limit to how much anyone can help you. Uh, I'm still trying to find a job. If I can find one, that's really good. If I can't find one, I'm probably gonna have to move to a city shelter, unfortunately.
A city shelter. What have you heard about the city shelters?
I've never actually seen one, but I have not heard anything flattering.
Well, we certainly hope it does not come to pass because we'll miss you and we want you to be safe. So, on a given day, I know that you're here and you spend a lot of time indoors, particularly with it being winter and COVID still being out in the street. Tell us essentially what a typical day for you is like.
Typical day for me. Well, I wake up, brush my teeth, take a shower, brew some coffee, and then I just turn on my laptop and browse some job listing websites, try to find a job. I do that about once every 2 hours. On that, I just try to find anything that passes the time. Either watch some YouTube videos, some of the news, or play a game or something like that, or chat with some friends. But other than that, I really don't do anything significant. I sometimes go for a walk, like go out for like a couple of hours just walking, just to keep in shape, and do some exercises here and there. But other than that, nothing really. I just try and focus on finding a job. That's
Finding a job.
priority number one right
Of
now.
course, of course. So the fact that this, and I don't know if you know other people in other shelters, not public, but what's called private shelter, as it was. There are other private shelters that are housed within institutions that coexist with religious institutions, because it's a separate organization from the church upstairs. And I was wondering if you have any friends that might also live in similar shelters that you could compare this situation to. It's not fair to compare an apple to an orange. I'm trying to compare an apple to an apple. Do you
I understand what you mean, but I unfortunately don't have any friends in New York.
Okay.
I only came here the middle of 2019. I don't have any friends outside of my online friends, and none of them live in New York.
Okay. All right.
So it's a
Would
bit
you like to
unfortunate.
share a little bit about how you came to this country, and if you don't, that's perfectly.
I had some trouble with the law in my country. I don't follow the religion of the country, and that's against the law over there. So
You have to follow the religion of the country, otherwise, it's illegal.
it is punishable by death.
I see.
So
Okay.
I had basically the option to either conform or flee. I chose to flee.
Wow. Okay. So the freedom, what we would call in the American context of the Constitution, freedom of religion was not really an option for you.
Yeah, it was not.
I see. So now that you've been in this country, is it surprising to you that we have freedom of religion that's so varied, or is it? Were you prepared for the?
Not really.
No. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm around. I'm gonna be 24 in a couple of weeks. I've been glued to my computer ever since I was about 12 years old.
I see.
So I'm quite familiar with how the world works. I'm very familiar with Western culture, I should say. I know how this place is. I know how diverse it is, and it wasn't really a surprise.
What has surprised you? So you've been here since from 2019, a few years, sort of in general, other than what you saw on the computer. Anything that you were not prepared for? Anything that surprised you, either good or bad?
Honestly, nothing.
Okay.
I came here quite prepared, honestly.
I'm glad to, except for, of course, the pandemic, which is happening everywhere, everybody. That's very unfortunate. So, as I think I mentioned to you, the video is being done about the various individuals or groups of people that utilize the services of the church. So I mentioned to you there are people who are congregants, meaning people that come to the worship service and identify as Episcopalians. There are people who are shelter guests and food pantry guests, and they physically come into the space. And then there's another level of people that we, the volunteers, go out to because they are unable to come in. They don't live in our shelters for a variety of different reasons. And so we go up to them. So there are three, and I perceive those as three different levels of individuals that are served by this institution. And so I'm just curious to know whether that's, I'm not quite sure where you're from, and I'm not asking you to tell us, whether that's a concept that exists in your home country.
The shelter concept is not really a common thing in my country. The whole idea of a shelter is not really a thing. The charity concept is very common. We have a lot of charity organization, and the religion of the country basically forces people to donate their some of the yearly income as charity. But yeah, the amount of homeless here, I would say, is something that has surprised me.
It has surprised you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not very familiar with basically the sight of seeing a homeless person on a street corner.
Right. And so obviously there are people that are here that are in this institution that are homeless, and then there are different kinds of homeless levels of homelessness. So as you observe the American society, what do you think might be generally the reasons why people are homeless? Not here, not because of immigration status, but other kinds of homelessness.
Well, I'm not really an expert on the subject, but if I had to guess, I would say drugs and alcohol probably factor into it. Um, at some point, you can't really help someone that can't help themselves. Mental illness probably doesn't help either. But at some point, it does fall. There has to be a fault on the system itself. It wouldn't, if it was just drugs, alcohol, and mental illness, it wouldn't be as prevalent as it is. I don't think so, at least. So it might not be obvious, but there might be something faulty with the system itself that causes it.
Exploring that and expanding on that. And I know you have been here for about 2 years, and you came very well prepared for the U.S., but still, you probably were not prepared, as you said, for the number of homeless people. What could the institutions, what could the government, what is it that's not happening that permits these numbers of people to fall into that kind of homelessness? What could the government be doing?
Well, it depends what you mean by government. If we're talking federal government, I doubt there is much that could be done. But if we're talking city government, there's probably a lot that can be done. Well, cleaning up the city shelters would probably be a first good step. I can't really think of an option that wouldn't be a reach of power.
Reach of power.
Yeah, you can't. A lot of people are homeless due to their own life's choices.
Yes.
Obviously, not everyone is,
Yes.
but those people who are homeless because of their decisions, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to take away from them their freedom to make those decisions? You can't really do that without coming off as a dictator. So it's very difficult to say. I would say the best option is not to try and erase the stuff that makes people homeless, as opposed to open a gateway out of homelessness. The problem isn't that people are becoming homeless. The problem is that people are becoming homeless and being stuck as being homeless.
Yes.
It's not a big deal if someone becomes homeless for like half a year or a year, as long as they can get out of it. For example, if a young person becomes homeless or something, if they lose their jobs, or if they got some medical bills they couldn't pay or something like that, they can probably still find a job. It might not be a good job, but they can probably still find a job and pay it off and find a home later. But let's say like some old 60-year-old or something becomes homeless. No one wants to hire a 60-year-old, probably. So stuff like that, especially for the elderly, is very needed.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Okay, well, I have to say it's been a true joy to speak to you. You say such thoughtful things, and you've clearly given a lot of, you've analyzed the situation, and it's always nice to have a fresh perspective on things. And I'm wondering if you have something that you would like to share with us regarding what your wishes are for yourself, for the world, for your family back in your home country. It could be a prayer, it could be a wish, it could be a poem, something that you would like to share with us that is coming directly from your heart, that you don't mind telling us.
Probably live and let live. Don't meddle in other people's business, even if you don't think they're doing themselves a service. It's their own life decision. Don't enforce your moral compass on others. That would probably be my wish for humanity.
For you in particular, what would you like in your life?
In my life, I'm not a very ambitious person, I'll have to admit. For the future, I would definitely wish a family.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
That is definitely my life's wish, to have a family.
And I'm sure it'll come to pass as soon as you come out of here, and only good things will come your way.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.